And we are live.
We are live.
It's live 2 days until the NHL season starts, Fear.
Here we go. Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show. This is your old school friend, she's directly from the house, and we have to go all the way to the West Coast to find the only one, our co-host, Michael DiVillano.
Are you excited for hockey this week?
It's Monday, January 11th, and like Mike said, we are about, 60 hours maybe? 50, 45, I don't know. But we are close to the beginning of the season 2021. If
Corona
COVID,
allows us.
if COVID does not stop everything else. But, we are, I think the last time we spoke together, it was last Friday. Quickly, I think before I go for the weekend of 6 games for my teams, it was like a pretty amazing weekend. I stay update with Twitter, everything like that. You guys on the Facebook page on the Hockey Nation live show, Hockey Nation, to try to catch up with everything's going on around the league. To be honestly with you, since we spoke, so many things happening from different teams, from different players, everything like that, and a lot of things happening. Honestly, I think the biggest thing that happened it was the signature of the New York Islanders. There's star. Honestly, he is the star for them, Matthew Barzal.
Be a star for anybody. I think after I did a little bit of a video on it, but after a quick analysis of it, 3 years, 21 million, average annual value of 7 million. It's structured a little bit different year 1 to 3. He's their star. He's their best player. They don't have anyone that's in the same caliber of him at this point. And at the end of it, he's still restricted. That's how young he is. He's 22.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, like, he's going to get – he's getting that much of a payday early on, which is great.
Look, he's one of the players in NHL, right? He's differently to other, like, he at young age, he is the star, right? So some team, like, he take time or he may be a part of one that I would say, like, Toronto, like, Austin Matthews, like 3, 4 like him, like, around him. But him over there, you have a step between him and the rest, the next second best player for the team.
No one like him on that team. I mean,
exactly. So, I think that's what happening a lot, and for him is a great. For Islanders is excuse me, is great also, and look like all the piece is falling apart at the right place for the New York Islanders.
Right place, yeah, not apart.
Not apart, but they found the right place. You know what I mean? Like they got their signature, Andy Green, Schneider,
Matt Martin contract.
So I think it's good for them.
So I'm looking at them, and they're right now at 84.5. Do they have someone that comes off? Like
what now? They have Johnny Balchuk.
He's already off.
Andrew Land. They expect maybe something there too. They have another.
That would have to be it because, like, right now, Boychuk is not on their salary cap, and they're at 8.4 or 84. Like, it's kind of weird. So it's got to be. You would think it's Andrew Ladd. Like, is Andrew Ladd in training camp even? Was he on the roster?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. We don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you can see they already have Boychuk on the injured reserve at $6 million, and they're at 84. So I don't know. My assumption is, to your point, that it'll be Andrew Ladd. But I don't know if he played in the playoffs for a game. Is he fit to play? I haven't heard anything.
I don't know.
That would be the logical one. I don't think they're going to go sign all these guys and not have that worked out. Lou Lamoriello is pretty astute, right? So,
yeah,
cool.
Another breaking news. I forgot. Hold on, I get it.
The Jesper contract.
Yeah, but geez, I just got it. Like
That's all right. So we know the one thing for me was the which I was a little bit surprised about. Nolan Patrick, it sounds like, is going to play in the Flyers home opener. Nolan Patrick's career's kind of been on hold. He was like the second overall draft pick behind Nico Hischier. I believe it was in 2017. He had injury problems in junior, which always concerned me. His dad was in the NHL and had injury problems that were similar. And then he pretty much didn't play. I don't think he played at all last year due to basically what they were terming migraine syndrome, which sounded suspiciously like some sort of post-concussion issue. But they're saying now that he's going to play in the home opener. So if that's the case, if Nolan Patrick is able to resume his career, Pierre, what's the impact on the Flyers?
At the end of the day, I think that would bring depth of this organization. I think other effect, he was not injury, right? He's a solid hockey player.
He's a great player. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think he can go through this situation. But every time I think about him, he remind myself Andre Shaw. Not of the quality of the caliber of the hockey player. I'm talking about the players, receive concussion all the time. And now Shaw struggle at 29 years old right now. And it's not a great situation for him.
And they were purposely saying it wasn't concussion, but I find that really a fine line. He's pretty young, but he's already had, like, even in junior, he had injury problems. He's had injury problems right from the get-go. So I think this is like, you kind of almost wait and see. But, he's a big 6'3", 6'4" kid with a lot of skill, and he can really play. Like, if he can figure out how to stay healthy, he's capable of being a number one type center one day. He just needs time, and he needs time to play. At worst case, this guy, if you protect him, is a number two. But he's that elite. But I just, he's got to be able to play a full season. I think he missed time in his last year in the WHL. He missed time in the NHL both seasons, and then, I don't know. But he should be a guy that's already at 30 goals. He's that guy. He's that caliber of player.
I agree with you about that one over there. I think he, like, he's a guy that player can make it fun for them. I think they need him because I think the situation of Philadelphia at the end of the year was a little bit concerned about what could happen this year. Now it's a new season. We understand that, but still, you know what I mean?
I mean, their biggest problem, which I think they've already prepared for, like, they have a tremendous amount of depth on the organization. Their star is Carter Hart. Giroux is not the player he was, but they only have this year and next year on that contract. So you've got to think that something will happen there. Van Riemsdyk is what he is. To me, this is Sean Couturier and Travis Konechny's team.
Yep.
And Joel Farabee showed he's a very talented guy. They got Morgan Frost coming up. But to have Nolan Patrick, I mean, that's huge. Like, if he can actually resume his career and be a normal, regular, everyday player, that's a huge step for them. I mean,
so the man is back. He is back, in Arizona Coyotes announced they hired Shane Down as a chief hockey development officer. He will serve as a strategist advisor on hockey and business side. Shane Down for Arizona Coyotes.
And what's his role?
Strategist advisor for hockey and business side for the organization as a chief hockey development.
I mean, if you know, he's been coaching in their junior Coyotes program. He's got a kid in that age group that's probably like 17 now or 16, and he's remained very integral in that program, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Talking about signature, we heard this morning, couple hours, maybe 1 hour ago, New Jersey Devils signed Jesper Bratt, $5.5 million, 2 years at $2.75 million per year, 22 years old, left winger, signed with them. So another good signature for both parts. I think so. I think for COVID situation, everything like that, you still a RFA at some point, and when you be done with that contract, And he could be a top 6 over there. And he's a player who's increasing, get better and better year after year.
I really like him. When he stepped in, he was like a 5th or a 6th round pick or something, wasn't he? He was like a really late pick. He's got a lot of jam. He's got a lot of speed. He's got offensive talent. He's like got a really good motor. I really like him. I think that if he, with a little bit of time, he's going to be a consistent offensive producer and he can impact the game for them. I really like this kid overall. He's in Sweden, I guess, right now and was waiting. So we'll see how quickly he can get over here and clear because he's going to have to quarantine, right? So he won't start for a while.
He was 162 overall pick by the New Jersey Devils in 2016. He had 16 goals last season, Michael.
Yeah, no, he's a good offensive player. If you watch him, he is always the most consistent player on the puck. He back checks, forechecks, but he can be a pain in the neck to play against. And when he has it, he's like a dangerous player. I like him. I think he could be a 25 goal scorer. Like
he could become a player like this. The only problem he got, for some reason, they don't let him play a lot. It's another case like the kids from Dallas, Karyanov. Is it Karyanov?
Gurianov, yeah.
So they gave him only like 13 minutes per game, 14-minute max.
Yeah, I
understand he's young, right? He's developmental, everything like that. But at your point where you said, I agree with you. He's a kid can score 20 goals next season.
And he's kind of like, I feel like he's a guy that all the other guys really like.
Yep.
So, he could be part of that leadership group. Like if you look on their line, like right now they got Gusev, Hughes, and Palmieri, which I think is a real good line. Right now, they've got Zajac and Johansson playing with Nick Merkley, and you've got to think Jesper Bratt is going to replace Nick Merkley.
I agree with you. He's the one can stop. He's a potentially player can play Michael top 6 over there.
He should be top 6 on that team. Yeah, now, I think Alexander Holtz they're keeping in Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a year, that's going to be a little bit more difficult because we see how high-end Holtz is. He can not only shoot, score like they advertise, but he's a lot better player than they stated. And he can really play make with guys around him. So if you can see him with Heeshire, he's a real good player. But, why couldn't you have, if they move Nick Palmieri at Kyle Palmieri at some point, then that's a really good fit. You've got both those guys in the top 6. Anyways, I like the signing.
Exactly. Another minor signature, but he become a part of the 8 defensemen for Columbus Blue Jackets. They signed finally Michael Del Zotto, $700,000 1 year. Free agent UFA was on the PTO over there, I believe. Signed 1 year. He was the last 2 years. 2 years with the Anaheim Ducks.
Anaheim, yeah.
Before he's a team like he has a. It was not too bad when he was with the Ranger, but since that, he's a guy traveling from Nashville, Philadelphia, Vancouver, St. Louis, Vancouver back, and then going to Anaheim.
Just keeps carving out a role for himself. So if you go way back in the 1990 group, he was probably one of the top 3 defensemen. It was kind of like Michael Del Zotto, like if you look in Toronto specifically, because he played for the Markham Waxers with Cody Hodgson and Steven Stamkos. And then the Toronto Junior Canadiens had Alex Pietrangelo, Michael D'Orazio, those kind of guys, right? So he was like a really considered to be maybe a really top offensive defenseman. I feel like the game changed a little bit and his skating kind of caught up to him a little bit. And we saw Cody wash out after he kind of quit, but he was a softer guy. I think Michael's the opposite of that, where he just keeps looking for an opportunity. He's not going to be the offensive defenseman that we all hoped he would, but he's tried to improve his defensive side so he's a reliable guy and keeps getting a paycheck and he loves playing.
I'm reading the NHL just sent a tweet for all the team, informed team that they have to submit the opening night roster for Tuesday, 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Interesting.
Any change made Wednesday for LTRR purpose will count as if they were originally submitted on Tuesday.
All right, so that makes sense though.
That's another one over there.
We're going to see a lot of guys like go down or on the wire.
But we have a lot of big news yesterday about not big news, but a lot of player was on the waiver list. They have to be declared at 12 o'clock. So when the show today with us, we're going to be over. We're going to see some players come back where they were at the beginning. We have a surprise couple of players who was on the big waiver list, but we're going to get more today from different team because it was not all the team in NHL put the waiver list yesterday. So it's going to get very interesting situation like a Yandel right now in Florida Panthers. Possible they will be out at some point. So another very like you said, it's going to have its fun things going, its fun movements going happening for the next 48 hours, where it's going to have an impact at some point for its fun team for sure. What I mean? I think that would be very interesting about that one over there. So that's that's the situation for everybody, but they have a lot of teams struggle with their salary cap, Michael.
Yeah, it's really hilariously bizarre. How many teams are actually over 81, 82 million?
Yeah.
But I think they're all smart enough to know that it's prorated. So they know that the actual number is lower than the top cap number. And there's long-term injury reserve guys that'll be covered by insurance and they'll come off the cap. So I don't think there's any teams that are really stuck right now, I bet. I'm guessing they all have a game plan to be under the cap.
Yeah. 43, it was a number yesterday, Michael. It was 43 players was on the waiver list yesterday.
One of them was Noah Juleson, which was our former captain in Everett. And he's had a pretty well-documented struggle since he took a puck to the eye with headaches. So I think the depth in Montreal is really pretty good on D now. So I don't know if somebody will pick him up.
But now they have the rules for the waiver list. You know that?
No.
So you cannot took one player sent to he has to stay with the team.
He has to
stay in the NHL roster. He cannot be down on the AHL or whatever they want to put it down.
I don't get that.
So they cannot to sign the player, say he's on waiver list, we take him and then we send him on the American Hockey League. They cannot do that.
Again.
They have to be part.
That's always been the case.
So
I can't put him in Edmonton and then send him to the AHL. He would have to clear waivers again.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you don't have a lot of waiver signature or whatever you call it. It'd be that one.
He'd be an interesting one. If he's healthy, then that's a guy that somebody would get a really good defenseman. But the biggest problem with him again is this the eye thing that leads to headaches. So hopefully, shout out to Noah. Hopefully, he is able to resume his career somewhere.
Absolutely. Talking about some news around the league for the last couple of days. Of course, we heard before we talk about Corey Crawford, I want to talk about the injury from Marco Rossi.
Yeah,
indefinitely with an upper body injury. So that's the news coming from the Minnesota Wild yesterday about that one over there. And talking about. Say again.
Do you think that's a shoulder?
It could be there. That NHL strength.
I know, upper lower nonsense.
Anyway, so it is what it is with that one there. But now I want to talk about a little bit about Corey Crawford. 36 years old, get retired Saturday. Surprised maybe some they was upset because he signed a contract and then he decided to leave and blah blah blah. But it's a goalie, Michael, I believe. I don't know, I could be wrong, but he never get the standard of credit for what he accomplished in NHL during that time he played. I think it was 14, 15 years in NHL. Yeah. And he's a winner of 3 Stanley Cup and everything like that. Maybe play behind bigger star, maybe we can settle that. I don't know. But
I think the thing about him was he was solid. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't like he never won a Vezina, did he? Did he win a Vezina once?
I think they have 1 year at least. They won something.
Let's look. Maybe. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. He won the Stanley Cup at Williams and
But he-
Jennings Trophy
yeah,
twice with the Blackhawks 13-15.
yeah. I don't think he was ever like elite, but he won cups. So he was part of a group there that won what 3 cups. They win
Yep.
3, right? So he deserves credit for that because he was able to. That's a long slog and that's not easy. But I'll liken it to Chris Osgood. Like Chris Osgood was never elite. He was a never top 10 goalie in the NHL, but he won cups.
You know what? That's sometimes we try to compare players versus other players, so you know that, and that's a really great comparison, Michael. You just mentioned this. I think you nailed it on that one, honestly, because Osgood, he was great, and because he was behind amazing player. You know what I mean? Like,
Nick Lidstrom and
what I mean? Like Eisman, he can hold away like that. So it's a little bit what's happening with Crawford. I think, what I mean? Like, I think beside, Seabrook, and then you can key the defense, and then Kane and Toes, and you can hold away like this, is Sharp, and you can name that, right? But I don't think so. I'm talking about like the Stetson Martin brother of Patrick Roy. Does it make sense?
not that type of guy. Like I think that he's never been, and we know he struggled at certain points. Sometimes that's injury, and sometimes, it's the gap between where you think you should be and where you're able to play. But I think when that team got a little weaker, then he wasn't really able to pull it out for them. I don't know if he was a guy that would steal a lot of games for you, but he would make sure you didn't lose them. And when they had firepower, he was pretty good. The last few years, their defense has been non-existent. They've been playing this high-scoring, high-tempo type of game, which is fine because they don't have the personnel. They just let Taves and Kane and DeBrincat and those guys go, and not having depth on D the way they used to have. And he played pretty well. And then we saw in the playoffs, he stole a series against Edmonton. So I shouldn't say that. He stole that series, I thought. And if that's the way it goes out, then, more power to him. We know it's really tough. We're seeing, even Jonathan Taves is sitting out. Is he really sick? We don't know. I feel like it's kind of like an end of an era for those guys. Like, they were so exciting. They were probably my top 3 favorite teams when they were like not very good. And I was like, man, this team's going to be good. This team's going to be good. You could see all the depth of young talent. And so that's why it's exciting to see that cycle on other teams. They've tried to replenish it. They've got some really good young players coming up. I don't know if they have a Taves and a Kane, though.
Exactly.
Kirby Dach is legit. I think we're seeing Kirby Dach will be the guy to eventually take that mantle.
Yeah. But again, I think, I think I have to tell well done for what he accomplished in HL. I think he did very great.
But who's the Corey Crawford replacement?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening now for New Jersey Devils for goaltender number 2, but it would be interesting.
That's a good question for New Jersey. But even Chicago, like, they never replaced him, and they don't really have a prospect that's of that caliber. So
yeah, exactly.
If you're Chicago and you're going to next year's draft, you're probably going to get top picks. Do you go for Wallstead? Given what is in there, there's D and there's one goalie that's really, really good. Those are probably the most impactful players right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Depends where they finish, I guess.
One thing was happening this weekend for Columbus, Dallas, Pittsburgh. Maybe I missed one of the team. They have, COVID situation happening. Chicago, honestly, talking about Chicago. So that pushed a little bit the schedule already. Mess up a little bit at the beginning of the year this week. But at the end of the day, this situation, COVID, Michael's going to be all the way until the end of this during that season. You're going to hear game cancel. You're going to have practice, no practice. You're going to hear all the kind of stuff like that. So expect fans to have a lot of notification. You know, basketball yesterday they canceled Lakers and
Oh
the
my God.
you know what I mean. So not enough player for the game, everything like that. So expect that happening. You expect some player. You expect your best player to be on the ice, and boom, this not play tonight because of this situation, everything. So that's something they have to. We have to live with for the upcoming season. It's very hard to make prediction or to predict this because you never know one day to another day what could happen for the team, for players, everything like that. So it's a
The
part
player
of
of the game will be COVID for some games.
yeah. Talking about something happening, like I'm on Twitter right now, then it's no stop, and then you can see on the website too. Brad Marchand is not on the ice for the today.
Hmm.
He's out. It's called what? Unfit, unfit to play, right? That's how they call it now.
It's interesting. Like, does unfit need to play? Like, we keep seeing that designation. Is that because they have COVID?
They don't design as the COVID necessary. They just give it's a description now to say upper body, lower body. They just said to you, I'm
That's
fit
why I
to
think
play.
it's the new COVID.
So that's what's happening. The Toronto Maple Leaf 35 minutes ago shrink the roster to 26 player, and they sent to Toronto Marlies the following players: Kenny Agostino, Joey Anderson, Justin Brazel, Rookie Chartier, Pierre Angeville,
Bro, what?
yeah, Tyler Godet,
He looked good.
yeah, Mac Hollowell, Michael Hutchinson, Timu Kovahilan, Timo defenseman Martin Marinci, and also Timothy Green. Nick Pidden was on the waiver list. Nobody got him, so he's back over there. He's back in the minor with Cali Rosen, and finally Scott Sabourin is also follow all of those 12 players going to be on the Marlins for the upcoming season.
So wait, does Pierre Engvall and Timothy Liljegren have to clear waivers?
Not necessary.
Do we know if they have to?
I don't think so. They have to because it's the beginning of the season. You don't have to put someone down because on the waiver because he's not part of the roster yet.
Huh? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen players go on waivers already. Like we've seen Noah Juleson have to clear waivers to go to the AHL. So I don't know if that's true.
For what they said now, yes. So you're absolutely right about that one there. They can be on the waiver list, or they can be. So I just write this right now. It can be directly go to Toronto Marlies, or they can be placed on the waiver list, but you don't mention which one they are.
I mean, Liljegren is a sad story, unfortunately. Like, I don't know if he'll ever turn the corner. He was projected so high, but obviously the expectation versus reality. Pierre Engvall, to me, man, I would love to have that guy on my third line. Like, that guy's a monster, and he can score. He's like a big, big man.
Maybe not third line, but fourth line, I think is another, like.
He can score. I mean, if you like Soderblom, why would you not like Engvall? Like, this is a guy that's already proven he can score at the NHL level.
I think he could be that guy like Brian Boyd.
He's very much like that. He's not going to be a centerman, but he's a guy that can skate pretty well for
I'm talking about his stature, right?
He's big. He's 6'5".
Big guy and everything like that. And you know what I mean? Like he's not like he's going to be like a score 30 goals, but a guy could be around, do all these fun things, play a specific role for the team. I think you're right. I think he's a guy that player can do that.
It's a good comparison because, like, look at last year, Pierre. He had in 48 games in the NHL 8 goals.
Yep.
So you would easily project that to be 13 or 14. And that's in Brian Boyle territory, although we know Boyle got some 20-goal seasons. The difference being Boyle was very effective because he can win faceoffs. But, I mean, if you watch him, he's a good skater. And he's big. But I guess that just talks to the depth of Toronto, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then um,
What did you think about Mike Babcock as an analyst?
yeah, well, I just with this part like on the website too is the NBC. It's great to get Kenny Albert. I think he did a really good job for them for the last couple of years, and to get him now to become the doc, um, become he's going to be a permanently the guy now behind the mic. So that's good to have him over there, and then backup would be good to you know story everything like that.
Interesting because like is he kind of like the new Mike Milbury? Because we know that Mike's got a bit of a reputation as being kind of like he's got personality.
Yeah, of course.
He's got a lot of personality. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. I wish that guy would coach somewhere, but it'd be interesting to see if he gets on in Seattle or something. Would you see him fitting in Seattle as a coach?
So again,
do you think he would fit in Seattle as a coach?
No.
No. Just because why?
I think he would be better to a team have they are already established at the beginning. Like I don't think so. He was the one can start over a team with no player there, pick it up, player left and right. I don't think so would be the right things for him.
He had nobody in Toronto. And then when
players,
it was like, I mean, he did that in Anaheim. I feel like
he becomes square. He become, between, Lamoriello left. After that, it was like, he never be close with two kind of direction, two mindsets front way, where one's about the analytic, another one is about the old school hockey, everything like that. So, I think that's something happening there, and then I think that's not help at all. I mean.
I think that what we didn't realize when he was in Detroit was how detailed he was and how willing he was to give direction during the game and after the game to players, which I think rubbed people the wrong way in Toronto because they were like country club atmosphere,
Yeah.
But he took a team that was not very good and he made them pretty good until they were ready. And we see without him, Toronto's not as good with better personnel.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's.
I think he's a teaching coach. That's why I say Seattle. But I mean, they're going to have NHL players on that team because of the expansion draft. But I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know if he would fit with that personality of that organization, but maybe.
It could happen. I just tried to figure out everything. Like the Capitals have loaned the following players to the Hershey Bear. Maybe you know some of them. Cody Clark, you know him?
From which team? Why do I know
Washington Capitals?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to make the team. But
then Brett Layson, Gary Pilon, Joe Snavely, and Riley Sutter. They are the players. It's going to be like this all day, by the way, Hockey Nation fans.
Two of those players, Riley Sutter and Garrett Pilon, were with Everett Silvertips. And we had a really good playoff run with them. Riley is the son of Ron. So Ron Sutter's son is Riley. And he's a big centerman. He's like 6'4", real. I think he could be a good third line center in the NHL at some point. And Garrett had a phenomenal run in the WHL. His dad is Rich Pilon.
Yep.
Played in the NHL. Yep. And Garrett's a real good player. I'm just not sure if he'll have a hard time sticking in the NHL, but he could be a third, fourth line type guy that contributes a little bit of offense someday, but he's like a weird bubble type guy. He'll be a real good AHL player.
Absolutely right. About that one for sure. But by the way, they just mentioned also the two rookies, Axel Johnson, Jalby, maybe that's the name. He returned to from Sweden to Hershey, and Hendrix Lapierre, the 22 overall pick in NHL. Yep. He was been loaned back to the QM and Chicoutimi for the Saguenay for the they're supposed to go back on the ice now. The QM already play. I don't know the situation over there, but
They're going to play there because like we announced 24 games in the WHL.
yeah, that was something we didn't mention. This was last week. They talk about this. Um, like WHL is going back with 24 game. Everything like that. The AHL is coming back and all those fun thing with minus team and all this kind of stuff like that. But today and tomorrow until the beginning of the season, Michael, you're going to hear um, strength roster, cut players, waiver, long-term injury, and we're going to try to follow up and everything and put this on the website and try to follow with you guys every morning. We'll come back the next morning to give you everything, and then can wait to when the puck drop this week and be ready for that night. And we are missing hockey since like October.
Yep.
So I think it's a great opportunity for everybody's missing that and everything like that. So one thing is going on around the league also. It's the contract of Vancouver Canucks, the prospect Vasil Paul Carlson. He was the captain.
Yep. Vasily Podkolzin. Yep.
Yep. So he's leaving his KHL team, the SKA, after he was made a healthy scratch on Saturday. So said he is now plan to remain, spend the rest of the year with the SKA.
Wait, what?
I don't know what it's so funny about that one.
Back because when he goes to the KHL, they don't play him. And he's better than guys ahead of him, but we know in that league it's an old league, and he's not going to play ahead of guys that are more tenured. So I'm kind of surprised they sent him there.
So here's the point. So Vancouver prospect leaving his KHL team, the SKA, after he was a healthy scratch Saturday. The source said the plan for the Vancouver was to let him here over there for the season and with SKA. So the kids left because he was upset about he was scratched, and then Vancouver was expecting him to stay there for the year.
Huh.
So would be very interesting about that and to see, what could happen about that one over there. So the Montreal Canadiens tried to ship Paul Biron. Possible to send him to trade him, whatever it is. He's a big contract, $3.4 million right now. And, he's a four-line guy. His role diminished with all its fun prospect and new player, Frolic and Perry and, Toffoli, Anderson, everything like that. So really, really interesting about that one over there. Michael, I don't know. I'm going to give you some homework for tomorrow morning. Do you know that?
What?
I'm giving you some homework for the Hockey Nation fans. They need you. They need you to work for tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.
Okay, what is it? What am I doing?
So we're going to give you for today, but also for tomorrow. But tomorrow you have to give us your prediction of the division Central and the West Division tomorrow. Wednesday morning, you're going to do a prediction of the North and the East Division before we drop the puck and we talk about the season and everything like that.
I can do that.
Of course you can. I'm already did it. And then Wednesday, by the way, because you do this and today is like tomorrow and Wednesday, I want you to finish Wednesday. The 4 teams going to make the semifinals, like the Final Four. And then from the Final Four, who's going to win the Stanley Cup 2021?
That one's tougher, but yeah.
Listen, you can predict Vancouver Canucks right now, and everybody said it's possible because you don't know what could happen with COVID. Would play a major problem, a major role inside that prediction, Michael, to be honest with you, because you can go right now with fun team like Tampa and Colorado, Vegas, and you know what I mean? Like you can name 5 teams right now, 6 teams, and something could happen to them because of COVID situation, and then you screw.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's something you have to be careful, but again, we have to go with the prediction. Mine, they are done. Mine, they are ready. And I just need to finish my Final Four and my Stanley Cup. But I know my Stanley Cup already.
You know who I want?
Say again?
Well, I mean, you're going to pick Vegas.
I cannot say anything about that, but I know you'll be close to God, the biggest you, because you like Pietrangelo. So I know you're going to get
Well,
there.
I believe in him, but I don't love Vegas winning it. But I'm kind of curious about. I mean, I hope Colorado, but we'll see what happens.
And we're going to talk about also because we are going to do a special edition, Michael, you and me, not live, but recording. We're going to talk about the Detroit Red Wings and we're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens because they are our fans. We are fans of those two teams and we want to talk about them at some point. So it'll be interesting to talk about what your expectation about the Detroit Red Wings for the upcoming season.
Sounds good to me. I was watching them in the camp, but I definitely have some ideas about it. We finally got a goalie at least.
They have a goalie. They have a couple of good players over there, veterans, and with Eiserman, he's building this. It just be interesting what could happen over there. So, a good show today. We tried to resume everything's going on. Like I said, I'm going to be on the alert all day, checking what's going on around the league, and follow on the Facebook page under Hockey Nation. You can see Michael. I bring everything there quickly. I heard from the league and from Elliot Freeman, Sir Riley, and those guys bring everything on Twitter quickly they can, and I carry on this to the website so you can get everything from us. So anything else before we said a really great day for everybody, Michael, before we leave?
Nope, I'm looking forward to lots of activity the next couple of days.
Excited about this and look forward. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, also on the Facebook page under Hockey Nation Live show. And Mike, on this, we just want to say to you, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Pierre.
Have a good one, everybody. See you tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time.